Hello! In this weekly news update, we have Quest leaks for one of the reasons I was excited for the Quest 3 in the first place. Goodbye to some VR folks, it's actually kind of sad. Disney's revolutionary VR tech that blew my mind, VR history in the making from Apple, new games, and more. So there is a lot to go over, so I think that is enough chin wagging. Let's get started. So starting with one of the things that got me excited about the Quest 3 when it first released. This was a promise of something called augments, anchored virtual assets to customize your space to provide functionality to your space. And these virtual assets would also persist in your space, knowing the previous mapping, and then it would stay there. The lovely term is persistent, spatial, anchored digital objects. Bit of a mouthful. Or what's that? Spado. Or the P is silent. Sado. Oh. A couple of videos on these augments look to have accidentally been posted online, and then they were taken down, but Luna, the legend, captured them so we could take a good look-see. So the video opens up with Meta Spark, which is actually Meta's AR studio if you want to start developing these sorts of things. And then the guy on screen is playing pinball at his table whilst being aware of his surroundings in pass-through mode, and has a virtual to-do list on the wall as well, and also places decorative objects around. It seems like a husband's dream to be able to freely decorate the home how you wish, but without accidentally creating clutter or interior design faux pas. It was a rather basic video though, showing off the augments. The MetaConnect content was way more interesting widget wise and seemed to have a whole catalogue of assets teased. In this video, not so much. The next video was a development side of things. How do you develop these virtual assets? Whilst this woman was having the greatest time of her life creating a virtual plant, aka Meta Careers. And it did show that there are customization options available with these augments also, because they change the colour of the pot. Again, very minimal, not much variety compared to what we saw in the first video. It was the same stuff. So I do hope to see more when augments are actually released. Something I want to see is the placement of 2D applications like Spotify on the wall, screens that can be used, photo slideshows. A plant is not going to cut it for me. I'd rather get a real one and take in its oxygen. So this story was actually something I found this morning. I was chilling with a hot beverage and I came across this new technology from Disney. These are hollow tiles, which looks to be very small pebble-like mats or flooring that would allow you to walk around on the spot. The tile seems to be motorized and move as you do. It wasn't perfect. You do see the gentleman sort of fidgeting to stay balanced, and the stopping motion was slightly delayed. But it's one of the greatest examples of this technology that I have seen, and something we want in VR. Not sliding treadmills, the omnidirectional treadmills. This has the best form factor I've seen. It also looks really stylish. I was rather impressed, but since this is Disney, they've got their hands on this and they've got a patent, the chances are pretty slim. The technology for this was actually patented in 2017. I guess I'll have to visit a Disney park and enjoy a VR experience, I suspect. Maybe the biggest news this week, and potentially one of the most iconic moments in VR modern history. This is the release of Apple's headset. It's available for North American consumers, and I've seen some European folks say that they've bought it and they're going to fly over to New York to pick it up. That is dedicated. So the base headset is $3,500 and it goes up in price if you want a bigger storage model, plus whatever it is that you want to add extra for this expensive piece of kit. So I do appreciate you early adopters for trying this out. I will live vicariously through you. So orders are now spanning from the start of February all the way into March. So it looks to be selling rather well if they've got a back order of nearly 6 weeks. And because of its release, the full spec detailing is now available. Some things I found interesting were the unique refresh rates, 90, 96 and 100. A lower IPD range of 51mm, which has fully automatic adjustment as well, 2 6.5 megapixel RGB cameras for pass-through, and a LiDAR sensor combined with its depth sensor, which is amazing. An M2 chip with a 10-core GPU, much better than the Quest, and it weighs over 600 grams. That is hefty. Really hefty. It also has a bunch of accessories such as a $200 travel case, which looks a bit like a puffer jacket. It just makes, every time I see it, makes me giggle. An additional battery, Zeiss lenses, which I thought was so cool because they make camera lenses. That is a really good brand to have. Facial inserts, battery holders, a $99 head strap accessory, which you will need if it's 600 grams to take some of the weight on the top of your head. And I'm sure you can use third-party ones, but when you're spending this kind of money, you know, you want the official stuff. Go all in. You're in, go all in. I'm so interested to see how this device is used. It may promote more casual use of this technology, which I think is super important for mass adoption, rather than just the gaming, the entertainment, and the fun side that we've seen of things. How do we integrate this into daily life? That's going to be the game changer, and I'm hoping that's where Apple can succeed. Now, onto some not so good news. A couple of stories to say farewell and thank you. WIMO Games, the developer behind Micro Machines VR, has shut down. They've had layoffs, releasing 35 members of staff. It is sad to see a studio go, because these studios normally very often exist because of passion for this industry. There seems to be such a disparity in the VR space. We've got Skydance boasting over 100 million for a title, and then we've just got every week, it seems, people are just leaving this industry. Nothing against their success, I just see there is a really big difference between the average studio developer or a company that are putting effort to grow the space, versus some of the big dogs. We also have Vario stopping the production and the selling of the Aero series. This Aero was the company's first consumer headset, and it now seems to be the last. This headset was stunning. I did do a dedicated video on this headset of how crisp it was. It was beautiful. One of the greatest things I've put my head in. That wasn't a joke, but it sounds like one. But it was rather expensive. The budget device seems to win in the VR space. It's a really expensive hobby, a really expensive sector to get involved in. So people are going to be priced out, unfortunately. But I just want to say thank you. I think we should move on to more positive news now, so I can end this video with a good old good day. And let's talk about a couple of games. And the first of which is a title called Grimlord. I did showcase this on the channel on PC VR, and it's made its way to App Lab now on Quest. This is like a Dark Souls clone, a Dark Souls experience, an action RPG developed by Metal Cat. The Quest version is not different from the PC VR version, of course, visually it is, but it should be the same game. The physics of this title, the styling of this title, the enemies, the experience, the combat, this is a game I would recommend picking up if you were looking for a Dark Souls-like title. I did really enjoy it, especially when you make it to the boss fights. The style of Souls titles is just... We also have the announcement of a fast-paced, anime-styled-like title released on the PlayStation VR 2 last year called Tiger Blade that is now coming to the Quest. This is set in Korea. It's like an arcade-styled experience. You will slash people down, shoot them, and defend against their attacks. But the fun of this game comes from the pacing of it, having to swap between shooting and slashing and dashing on the fly, but you have restricted locomotion, so you have to do the dash and slash or the grappling to predefined spots. So obviously it's not going to be the most revolutionary VR game, but it does seem like a good time. And finally, just something that made me stare at the computer. People cannot give Taylor Swift enough credit. Now the fact that her tour is on Amazon Prime and you can watch Amazon Prime in VR, apparently now Taylor is an asset boosting the potential of VR consumerism, as it's cheaper to buy a headset and view her concert in an immersive way in these VR apps than it is to buy a ticket to her show. Crazy. Thank you, Tay-Tay, Swifties. Enjoy VR. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I do have a video coming out rather soon for a game that I believe to be one of the greatest titles released in 2024 so far. Granted, we're only a few weeks in, but it is an incredible title. So please stick around for that, hit subscribe, and have a great week. Happy gaming. Good day!